Mailbag.
Mailbag time.
Yeah. Of course it is. It's mailbag time. This is where we read letters from our listeners. We get them during the week in a number of different ways. We talked about it earlier. You can leave us a voicemail at 562-888-BEACH. You can leave us a comment on our Facebook page, facebook.com/keepingitrealestate on the beach. You can hit us up on Gmail, keepingitrealestateonthebeach at gmail.com. You can tweet us at keepingitRELB. Or you can just stop us on the street and say, hey, are you that Big Bang Frank guy? I got a question for you.
Actually, we all learned today you can stop by the visitor booth and say that you're a guest on the show, and they'll just let you in.
Really?
And give you free parking.
You might be able to leave a mailbag question there, and
free
somehow
parking?
we'll get it. All right, this first one is from Gabe, and it's something I had no idea existed, and I'm really hoping that Scott and Alissa, you know what the heck I'm talking about here. Gabe says, I have an H1B Visa.
Oh, yeah.
And then it says PED 090713.
I think they have ointment for that.
Can I get a loan to buy a house in California? So my assumption is that Gabe is not a resident of the United States or of California, but he's here on a visa. Is that a special visa, an H1B, that allows him to buy a house?
There are tons of types of different visas. Some of them are working, some of them are conditional, some of them. So there's different types of visas, and some of them are acceptable, some of them aren't. So in this case, which one can you buy with is going to depend on the loan program that you use. So FHA, they require something called an EAD, which is basically like an employment verification form.
Okay.
That type of visa, the H1 doesn't have that. So they would not be qualified for FHA.
So H1B visa, no FHA.
Right.
And obviously no VA because
they don't have the EAD. Correct. Now,
USDA?
No, because they all come from the HUD.
Okay.
HUD government.
So they're going to have
programs.
to go conventional.
Conventional does not require the EAD, and they do accept visas, that type of visa to purchase. So it's really going to depend on the type of loan that you use.
So in this case, for Gabe, an H-1B visa. Does anybody know what PED 9713 means?
No.
Must be when the visa's up or something, or
Don't know.
because it's in 2013.
I'll Google it.
Okay, so Gabe, we're trying to help here. We're working hard to get an answer to your question. So with this particular type of visa, it's conventional. Is it going to be easy for him? I mean,
Conventional has stricter guidelines versus any government program. So
for
you're
everybody, though.
Right. You're going to need more assets. You're going to need better credit scores. Basically, it's just going to be stricter. So it can be done.
But is it more difficult in conventional with a visa versus being a resident? Or
no, it's just more documentation.
It's more documentation. Yeah. It's not a more difficult qualifying process. But
what happens if
it's
he
just
gets
more documentation?
What happens if they don't renew his visa in September
well, now you're
of
gonna have a problem.
2013? He owns a house.
You're going to have a problem. And there's going to be stipulations of when that when that expires. It's going to have to be good for a certain amount of time. So all that will be looked into. So it's not that it's harder. It's just that it's going to be a little bit more legwork and a little bit more documentation.
But he can buy a house. Yeah. He can buy a house in the United States
Absolutely.
on a visa, not even being a resident.
Absolutely.
Wow. See, that's why I love the mailbag. I learn so much from the mailbag every time we do this.
So did I.
See, Scotty's sitting back going, man, I'm glad Alissa had those because I
have not dealt with
I got nothing on this.
So long, I have no idea.
That's where a 1-2 punch.
See, when I saw that question, I just knew it was going to be a good mailbag question because I had no idea what this guy was doing.